Have you ever seriously wondered if you could get your money out of the system if a real crisis hit? Like all of it, right now? Today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating argument that pits the financial world of 1929 against a potential scenario in 2026. And here's the kicker. The argument goes that the real difference isn't the market itself, it's whether you can even get to the exit door anymore. Let's see what that really means.
All right, so to really get a handle on this idea about the future, we've got to go back in time. We're going to start with a pretty powerful story from right before the Great Depression.
So picture it. It's the Roaring '20s. The stock market is a rocket ship to the moon, everyone's getting rich, and the newspapers are just screaming about endless prosperity. But in the middle of all this excitement, one businessman just feels it in his gut. You know, a little voice telling him something is deeply wrong under all the noise.
And this is the part that's just wild when you think about it today. He trusts that gut feeling. He just walks into his bank, goes up to the teller, and asks for all of his money. Not some of it, all of it. There were no forms, no week-long waiting periods, no, we'll have to get back to you. Just a simple, direct request.
The teller counts out $12,000 in cash. Now you have to remember, in 1929, that was an absolute fortune. And he was able to hold it physically in his hands. He could put it in his briefcase and walk right out that door. He had complete, total control. It was his money.
So let's just recap how fast this all happened. On a Tuesday morning, he gets his cash. Just 2 days later, the market completely implodes and the world is turned upside down. The reason he survived financially wasn't luck. It was because the system back then allowed him to act on his instinct immediately.
Okay, so that's the past. Now let's slam on the brakes and jump to today's world. The source material uses that incredible story to ask a really sharp question about our financial system right now.
And this is really the whole point of this explainer. If you had that exact same gut feeling today, that gnawing sense that something was about to go very, very wrong, could you actually do what he did? Could you walk out of your bank with your life savings in cash?
I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. Back in 1929, you had what's called direct access. It was your money in your hand right away. Today, the argument is we have gated access. Our money is stuck behind all these digital walls, huge penalties, and worst of all, intentional delays. Let's see what that actually looks like.
So let's play this out. Imagine you've done everything right. You've saved for 20 years, and you've got a nest egg of $180,000 in your retirement account. You see the warning signs, you get that same bad feeling, and you decide, I want out. You go online and hit withdraw.
But wait, you don't get that money. Not even close. Before anything else happens, the system hits you with a penalty calculator. Boom, federal tax. Boom, state tax. Boom, early withdrawal penalty. And just like that, your $180,000 is sliced almost in half, down to 98 grand. And you still don't have a dime of it in your hand.
Okay, so you've taken the massive haircut. Then you hit the next wall, the waiting game. That little message pops up, processing, 7 to 10 business days. Now, the source argues that in a real, fast-moving crisis, 7 to 10 days is an eternity. It's more than enough time for the entire system to hit the brakes and freeze withdrawals completely.
And this is where the argument gets really serious. According to the source, these gates, these penalties, these delays, they're not a bug, they're a feature. The modern financial system was supposedly built specifically to stop people from doing exactly what that man did in 1929. It was designed to prevent a run on the bank.
So if the exits were closed on purpose, how exactly did they do it? Well, the source breaks it down into 4 specific traps that are designed to keep your money right where it is, especially when you want it most.
First up, you've got those retirement penalties we just saw. Trillions of dollars are locked away in 401ks and IRAs behind these massive penalty walls. Second, those killer time delays. Third, you've got banking regulations, things like cash withdrawal limits and rules that require banks to report large transactions to the government, creating friction. And finally, the system has its own emergency brakes. Think of market-wide circuit breakers that can literally halt all trading, freezing your investments solid. Altogether, it's a maze designed to keep you in.
So that's the how. But what about the when? Why is this source pointing a finger directly at the year 2026? The argument is that we're seeing a very unique mix of factors coming together that could lead to something more than just a normal recession.
According to this analysis, it's a potential perfect storm. You've got historic, eye-watering levels of global debt. You've got tons of hidden leverage in the system. You have trading algorithms that can move markets faster than any human ever could. And on top of all that, the central banks and governments supposedly have a lot fewer tools in their toolbox to fix things this time around. It's a recipe for a very different kind of crisis.
So what are the big players doing? You know, the ones who supposedly know what's coming? Well, if you follow the money, the source points to a few major warning signs. Corporate insiders are reportedly selling off their own company's stock at a record clip, and huge sovereign wealth funds are quietly moving billions out of riskier assets and into things like gold. These are the kinds of moves you make when you're battening down the hatches.
And this is where you see this huge disconnect, right? On one hand, you have what the insiders are supposedly doing. They're preparing, they're diversifying, they're moving to safety. And on the other hand, what does the average person hear on the news? Stay the course. Don't panic. Markets always go up in the long run. The source argues this is the exact same pattern we've seen right before nearly every major crash in history.
So, after all that, what does this mean for you, for the individual investor? The source really frames this whole thing as a choice based on whether you believe these historical patterns are repeating themselves.
When you strip everything else away, the core argument is this: today's system is not built for you to get out in a panic. It is built to protect itself, first and foremost, by taking away your ability to act quickly and escape. It prioritizes the stability of the system over your individual freedom.
Which brings us right to the final crucial question that all of this information leads to. So, what do you do?
Well, the path that's laid out here is one of preparation. It's not about panicking, it's about getting ready. That means things like actually recognizing these historical patterns, maybe diversifying into assets that aren't locked behind those penalty walls, and really understanding what you can access when the chips are down. The whole idea is to do this while you still can.
And we'll end on this final thought from the source material. And it's a powerful one. History doesn't repeat exactly, but it always whispers. The argument we've explored today is that the whispers of 1929 are echoing again. And the real question it leaves us with is, are we listening?